Is it too much? Who's even supposed to use all that power? Yep, questions like that pop up in our comment section all the time. But how does it play out in real life? That's what we're answering in this video. Right then, folks, that question, isn't it all just a bit too much? I've definitely asked myself while sitting in the saddle. But as a famous philosopher once said, it's better to have than to need. So in that sense, there's probably no harm in having a bit more power, a bit more performance on tap than you might actually want or think you need. We're here at the 1000 PS HOTLAP Test track, a compact handling circuit, and this compact handling circuit simulates, to some extent, the Stilfser Joch. And just like at the Stilfser Joch, you've got tight hairpins, in some places steep inclines, and we've got that here too. Plus, plenty of rivals you definitely like to overtake. And one thing becomes very clear, time and again, in the 1000 PS HOTLAP battles. Even on short straights, you can absolutely take advantage of strong engine performance if you can get on the throttle early. And I have to admit, the Aprilia Tuono V4 has a lot of positives. But when it comes to getting on the gas early out of tight hairpins, I felt, at least here on the HOTLAP test track, that it's not really its strong suit. The throttle response, the way it kicks in, is a bit too aggressive. And there's also the issue that the jump from first to second gear is a bit too long. So in those super tight corners, you sometimes find yourself in the wrong gear. Now, technically, this Aprilia Tuono V4 here in the factory version is on home turf. And that home turf advantage comes from the absolutely phenomenal feel for the front end. Honestly, I don't think I know another motorbike, certainly not in the naked bike segment, that delivers this level of confidence at the front, this crystal clear feedback about how much lean you've still got, or how much corner speed is still possible the way the Tuono does. And even, or maybe because of the electronic suspension it's got now, that's not the issue, not even on such a tight circuit. You ride into these corners without ever worrying that the grip might give out or that you might run wide or anything like that. That's not the challenge. The real challenge, with all the raw aggression this bike throws at you and the incredibly intense torque delivery, is making sure you're back in the saddle in time, properly positioned on the bike so that you can get on the throttle and really launch out of the corner. And in that sense, it's a bit of a strange story because we're dealing with a naked bike here. But it's a naked bike with a lot of similarities to a superbike, one that maybe isn't quite as strong when it comes to ultra-tight handling tracks. It needs slightly wider lines to play its trump card against the other high-performance naked bikes. That's exactly what it needs, those slightly wider lines. That's where it can really shine. And another area where it scored points here was with its rider assistance systems, which are set up in a very, very aggressive way. You don't even need to go deep into the menu if you're riding in user mode, or even just in sport mode. You can brake incredibly hard. So hard that every fiber in your body aches from the deceleration. That means the braking potential, this deceleration capability, can definitely be used in a very real-world way, even on a compact track like this, so also at the Stilfser Joch. And I'm pretty sure the Tuono community will back me up on this. The Tuono is seriously strong in the braking zones. What I have to say though, what I think held me back a bit, what was probably the bottleneck for lap times in my case, was the fact that I'm 1.85 meters tall. And when I got myself tucked into this bike, I had a hard time getting back into the right attacking position quickly enough through the direction changes. And I'm pretty sure that slightly smaller riders will be able to handle those direction changes better than I could in these super tight corners. On the other hand, in the few slightly faster corners, I really enjoyed the fact that I could position myself properly on the bike, pick my line through the exit, and had a very confidence-inspiring, rock-solid front end. And that front end stability, especially on a tight, twisty, scrappy little track like this, is a massive advantage. And I think that's its trump card out on the road. That's why the Tuonos are so quick. The engine? Yeah, that goes without saying. It's beyond all doubt. And even here, look, it'd be blasphemy to talk about the engine too much when you're just riding around in first or second gear. What matters a lot more here is how the throttle responds, how the torque kicks in. And in my view, that's just a bit too demanding if you want to tackle tight and tricky sections with it. That said, I do think the community loves it. I reckon they appreciate that kind of kick, and I'm quite certain those cheeky devils always end up picking sport mode, the one where the wheelie control is disabled and you're lifting the front wheel at every corner exit. But when you're chasing lap times, if you're an average rider in terms of talent and fitness, and I definitely count myself as one, then that kind of aggressive and demanding throttle behavior actually works against you. Honestly, I have to say, this might sound harsh, but here on the 1000 PS HOTLAP Test track, the BMW S1000R felt more harmonious and faster to me than the Tuono V4. I'm curious to see how the data recording results turn out, but I think the redemption is coming soon. We'll be riding the bikes tomorrow and the day after at the Slovakia ring, and that's where we'll be doing proper lap times. Martin Bauer will be there, Mex will be there as well. And on that razor-sharp racetrack, that's going to be its home turf. I've got no doubt about that. I think it's going to shine against the other naked bikes there, but that's a different story, coming soon on 1000 PS TV.